Hello guys, this is Sir Chris. This video is for FCE 2 class. Okay, so for today we are going to study from student book and workbook. Before we start, have you done the previous exercise? If you haven't done, you can click the link below. You can watch my explanation about participle clause, and you can do the exercise in your student book and workbook. Okay, if you have done the exercise, let's see your skills in your student book, page 70. You see? Okay, now so on the left side is student book, on the right side is workbook that you are going to do after you do student book first. Let's see proverbs. Yeah, proverb. What are proverbs? Proverbs are like adage, like sayings. In bahasa is pepatah or peribahasa. Yeah, for example, the popular proverb, yeah, don't judge book by its cover. Okay, or Rome wasn't built in a day, or there are many ways to Rome, and so on. Yeah, you know lah. Yeah, there are so many proverbs even in Indonesia. Yeah, even some proverbs in bahasa. But for today, we are going to study proverbs in English. See vocabulary section, part 1. You read the sentences first, number 1 until number 5, and then match the proverbs in bold with its meaning. Yeah, you see, number 1 has been done for you. Rodney always dresses well because he believes that clothes make the man. Clothes make the man means a good appearance shows a serious attitude. You see your book. Okay, number 1 matches with D. Yeah. Now, please you find out what each proverb means. You can Google it and then please you match it. After you have done with part 1, you see part 2. Part 2, you have to match the proverbs in exercise 1 with a proverb with the opposite meaning, yeah, the antonym, the opposite meaning. Okay, you see, for example, number 4. Yeah, you see number 4 in part 1. If we all work together, we can finish this project quickly because many hands make light work. Yeah, many hands make light work. Okay, the opposite of the proverb is A. Too many cooks spoil the broth. It means like if you involve too many people to do something, the task will not be finished. Okay, what for A, yeah, it means like that. Yeah, if too many people are involved in a task, that task will not be finished. That's the literal meaning. Okay, please you match with the opposite, yeah, after we have done part 1. If you have done part 2, you can do part 3. Part 3, please you complete the sentences with a proverb from exercise 1 or 2. Yeah. Okay, nah. So for listen lesson part 1. For lesson part 1, I don't have the audio, yeah, unfortunately, but don't worry, I will read. I will read the audio for you. All right. Nah, so you see part 1, yeah. Look at the photos A until D. Which empire? Empire means kekaisaran. Which empire would you associate with each picture? Roman, Umayyad, or British? Okay, letter you match, ya. Letter you match with 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 empires, ya, that you are going to know when you have listened. Listen to me. Okay. A. The game of cricket. B. The Great Mosque of Damascus. C. The Senate. D. An astrolabe for navigation. For part 2, what topics are discussed? Yeah, the topics that are mentioned, yeah, from the dialogue. Please, you can circle or you can tick it. Yeah. Nah, after you have done part 2, you can do part 3. But for now, you can listen to me. Yeah. Okay. So for the audio, there are professor and there are 3 students. Yeah, there are a professor and 3 students. Those 3 students are student A, student B, and student C. Okay, if the professor speaks, I will say professor first. If the student speaks, I will say student A, B, or C first. Understand? Okay, we start now. Professor, we have all heard the expression when in Rome, do as the Romans do, which means that when one is in another culture, it is advisable to behave in the manner of that culture. And perhaps it isn't surprising that this expression refers to Rome in particular, because the Roman Empire was so powerful. For nearly 1,000 years, Rome controlled the Mediterranean coastline, and its empire stretched as far north as present-day England, as far west as present-day Portugal, and as far east as present-day Iraq. Of course, the expression when in Rome refers to the concept of behaving as the Romans did whilst one was in Roman territory. But how did the people who were colonized by Rome adapt to or inherit Roman culture or customs? Any ideas? Student A. What about governing systems? I think the Romans had a senate, and today many countries have a senate as well. Professor? Correct. The Roman Senate was comprised of nobles, but there were also emperors. This system was adopted by other countries, and still today, many countries have a similar system of governance. Anything else? Student B. Mm, architecture? The dome and the arch were developed by the Romans. Professor? Yes, they were. And they feature heavily in many architectural styles that were developed in the empires that rose after the Romans. For example, the Umayyad Caliphate, which came to power during the 7th century. As the Umayyad Caliphs conquered the region and spread Islam, You will notice how they incorporated the dome and arch in the construction of mosque. Now, who can identify aspects of Umayyad culture that were incorporated into other cultures? Student C. Maybe the value of education and scientific advancement? Professor? True. The Umayyad caliphs ruled during the time that is known as the Islamic Golden Age. In contrast, the Middle Ages in Europe became known as the Dark Ages because Europe didn't contribute much in the way of scientific advancement during that time. Arab scholars, on the other hand, were making great advances in mathematics, science, medicine, and astronomy. Instruments for navigation, such as the astrolabe, were developed primarily to help people know what time it was so that they could pray and to find out which direction Makkah was in. Student B, but wasn't Europe also important for scientific discoveries and development? Professor, yes, but not until much later. It wasn't until the Renaissance period of the late 15th century that centers of learning expanded to include science in their curriculum. But this takes me to the final empire I'd like to discuss in detail today, the British Empire. At its height in 1922, the British Empire contained 458 million people, which was one quarter of the world's population, and it colonized territory on every continent of the earth. In this respect, its overall reach was much greater than any previous empire. So, what stands out in your mind as something that people took on board from their British colonizers? Student C. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is sport. I was just watching cricket test matches the other night, and there are cricket teams from India, Pakistan, Australia, Africa. All these countries were once part of the British Empire. Professor? Yes, indeed. Sport. That's an excellent observation. Now, please open your books on page. All right. So that's the end of the dialogue. Now you can, if you don't understand the question, especially for part three, you can rewind. Since this is YouTube format, video format, you can rewind the video, okay, as much as you want. So if you have done listen part, you can answer speak part. Okay. Look at the proverbs in vocabulary exercises 1 and 2. Ask and answer the questions with your partner. Now this one you can answer, you can write. Yeah. Which proverbs do you think are true? Which do you think are not true? Based on vocabulary 1 and 2. Yeah, you can answer by yourself. Do you have similar proverbs in your language? What images do they create? Nah, since in Indonesia there are also many proverbs, please you write proverbs that you know but in English, obviously. Okay? After you have done student book, let's move on to workbook. Let's see your workbook, page 63. Nah, for part 1, please you match the beginnings with the endings to make proverbs ya. As usual, you can see your student book if you forget. For part 2, rewrite the sentences with proverbs that have the opposite meaning. Yeah, you see the example number 1. I don't think you should wait. He who hesitates is lost. And then please you write the opposite sentence. Okay, I think you should wait. Yeah, that's the opposite from I don't think you should wait. Understand? And then you write the proverb. Yeah, you write the proverb from part 1. Yeah, which is the opposite from he who hesitates is lost in number 1. Yeah, please you do also number 2 until number 5 in the same way. Okay, nah, for part 4, yeah, for part 4, please you complete the text with the words in the box. Okay, yeah, you see ya. You see there is a text, a history of English proverbs. Nah, this one please you match. Yeah, please you match it from box in part 4. Yeah, you read first. You read first the text, the first paragraph. Okay. Okay, I think you can read. Yeah, read by your own. And if you for number 1 until number 6, you can you can read read first. Yeah, read first each paragraph. Yeah, for example, number 1, an idiom popular with people who don't want to be pressured while they are working. They are saying indirectly that all great things that take time and patience to create. Okay, actually for number 1, the clue for the answer is I have already given to you in the beginning of this video. I don't know if you listen to it carefully or not. Okay, yeah, yeah, you can if you already read each paragraph and you don't understand, yeah, you can Google it. Right? Yeah. Nah, so that's it for today. Yeah. Okay, this is earlier. Yeah. Okay. If you don't understand for listening, if you there are some numbers that are missed, you can rewind the video. Okay. As usual, if you have done, please capture your work and then you can send with WhatsApp to me, and this is my number. Okay, that's it for today, and don't forget to stay safe and stay healthy. See you guys.